Cause you're listening to Jams and Tea, you want to see the show on your TV, so we talk about things musically. Cause you're listening to Jams and Tea, you're listening to Jams and Tea.
Welcome everyone to a brand new episode of the Jams and Tea podcast, where we spit the jams and spill the tea. And today we are coming at you with the very most special episode of this whole year. We are going to be talking about the worst songs of this calendar year of our Lord 2020. Let's put 2020 in the fucking ground, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, and it's not all negativity on the Jams and Tea podcast. We will next week be talking about our favorite records and songs of the years. But it's always good to kind of get the shovel out and really
Catharsis.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
look, 2020 has been a shit year all around. So let's just pile in and just beat up this nerdy kid.
This year has sucked unless you are rich or a politician, but so
And even then, you might have died.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, I can think of some politicians who had some bad time this year.
Okay, well,
Most of the ones in power.
Yeah.
yeah, let's kick off then with number 10 on our list.
This is, funnily enough, this is not the Biffy Clyro track I would have picked for my personal list, but they have like 10 candidates that they entered this year in this particular race.
Brave of them.
And bold creative decision to suck ass so completely. This is embarrassing. So it's what it is conceptually is a cover of sorts of the is it Nicki Minaj and Megan Thee Stallion?
It is Cardi B, but great showing your cultural relevance there, Morgan.
I couldn't give a fuck. Whichever one it, I know. I don't care. This is far worse than anything either of them will ever do. So, just they can rest assured with that knowledge. This is the thing that strikes the mind most quickly upon hearing WAB is just how phenomenally white these people are. And yeah, Scottish rock band. They're white. It comes with the territory. So with that logic, one must then ask themselves just what the hell they think they're doing. Because, it would have been bad enough if they just covered the song as is, but had Simon Neil shouting over it in Biffy style. But no, they changed it to suit their genre, which is both a smarter move and one that makes for a far more catastrophically awful song. It's just, it's a nightmare. It's the definition of ill-advised.
What I think is notable and worth mentioning in this regard as well, because this is a unique inclusion on our list, because it's the only song on the list that's not actually a studio recorded track. Like, it's not actually a song that they recorded and put out. It's actually a live recording that was done for BBC Radio 1's Live Lounge. And that doesn't necessarily excuse it. But I think it's interesting. Like, I definitely think there's that Biffy are kind of aware of the absurdity of what they're doing, and the fact that they're so white and this is not a song for them in any respect. But I think what it does show is just the fundamental level of kind of misguidedness of seeing that, as I'm sure they did, and still thinking that their idea was in any way actually funny. And it's a neat parallel with how misguided so many of the ideas on their album are from this year, which we won't get into now because there will be time for that. but I think it is interesting how, despite the fact that this is not a studio recorded track that features or a single or any or on their album, you can see in its DNA the same kind of decision making that led to the album they put out this year.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
it is a track where they are aware of what they're doing. And you're right. That's sort of a case of like you burned down a house and you're like, well, you knew this was wrong and you still did it. But like, and the thing is this is my pick. So my reason for picking it is that Biffy Clyro have done silly things in the Live Lounge before, but this is just so aesthetically ugly and grating, and nothing about it is like pleasurable to listen to.
I
Like,
want
I'm
you
fine.
to park that Big Mac truck right in me tiny garage.
It's the way that when they do the refrain of "There's some Biff in this house," and they go on a sliding up note, and it's like a mental shear where I just feel like someone has broken my head in two.
The music video is something to behold as well. I think the music video is a kind of disaster piece of epic proportions, because I say music video, it's a live recording, but like Simon Neil is just drenched in sweat.
He's just
He's literally wet as Biffy.
Really.
Just
disgusting.
look at him, and I'm like, I turn into Charlton Heston, just in Planet of the Apes, like they cut out his brain.
Monsters! You blew it up! It's
Okay.
how I feel.
I just wanted to
no.
close off by saying, invoking the actual internet's #1 music critic, which is Todd in the Shadows, when he talked about a song a few years back, or maybe it was only last year. At this point, time doesn't mean anything. But he talked about a Little Dicky song, and he said, just because your song is a parody does not give it an excuse to suck, which is exactly how I feel about Biffy Clyro's song here.
Exactly.
Hey, I've been real, that's all I ever knew how to be. Fuck what you heard, I only write what I see. Second I deploy, I destroy to the take on E.
The one, not the only, Logic. I say not the only because he has two songs here. Dad Bod and A to Z, which off of his his latest embarrassment of an album, No Pressure. And essentially, I will speak to the one I selected, which was A to Z, which is just one of the worst ideas for a song I've heard all year. It's like, what if I rapped the alphabet, but I did it in like this storytelling fashion? And if you think that's a horrific, like I'm gonna say this is like a song for my little kid, because he introduces it with like, "Hey little Bobby, let's learn our ABCs," and he'll like
A, B, C, D. Like,
and
that's
he'll,
the
like,
thing. This is an interesting song because, like, it's awful, but it would be measurably better if you just removed those ad libs. Let's say the letters.
The ad libs are so that's what kills it. But what kills it further is if you think that's a thinly veiled dumb concept, that's because it is, because he could only fill up half a song with it. So he feels the need to end the song with a demo from 2005 that is just squished in here to artificially extend the song and the album.
Does it like have anything to do with the?
No, it doesn't.
have anything
It's
to do
just
with the
this
concept of the
random
song.
demo he puts in there where it's like, yeah, it's and it's a completely different beat. Like, if it was like the same beat, I could maybe see the point to that, but it's this wildly different beat, and he's like wildly different flow. It's just such a waste of time and such a strange peculiar idea.
I mean, look, like it's not like he's going to be able to put it out in any other capacity when he's being a Twitch streamer. So
yeah, not
Yeah.
a parent, of course.
Let's see how that goes. Or a husband.
Or
For the fans out there.
Oh,
yeah, fans out there. That's for you.
that was well played on everyone's part there.
So, Jake, do you want to talk a bit about dad
yeah,
bod?
talk
I
about
will
dad bod for us.
Okay, so dad bod is it's logic at the beginning, like reluctantly, is just like, oh, fine, all right, everybody wants me to rap about my real life, I'll do it. And then he raps about, like, changing diapers, and, like, I find the song more offensive in theory than in concept, admittedly, just because I think of the songs on the album, it's, like, the most compellingly delivered, but I would also argue it is the least compellingly written, as it is an obligation. He is presenting this song like it is a chore to us, which is just like, oh, if I, he's delivering it interestingly, but at the same time, he also sounds like he would literally rather be anywhere else in the world, or doing anything else. I believe that Logic went and was just like, God, I can't wait to change my son's diapers after this, or file his divorce papers, who knows.
Yeah.
What's so especially funny about it as well is like he references his normal life and like his relation. Like we've joked about how he and his wife got divorced.
Yeah.
I think this year or the year before, but he raps on this song about loving his wife like I am Chance.
Yeah.
And it's
that's
super.
You wish.
It's not the last time we'll talk about this notion, but it's super weird to hear a guy talking on a song about how much he loves someone who doesn't want to be with them.
Oh shit! Sorry, that's the next one.
No,
Well,
that's
yeah, and
so.
more beyond
we
that
can-
one as well.
She do the best to raise her young. Oh, she independent. And she don't depend on no man without our women.
Number 8 is on our list is a very special song, unique and I think one of the funniest bad songs of the year.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
From his new Return to Form album, King's Disease, Nas's track "Till the War Is Won," featuring the ever talented and favorite of the pod, Lil Durk.
Yeah.
And so it's quite interesting for those who haven't heard the track. Where to begin? It starts with a sample of Nicholas Britell's score for Barry Jenkins' film If Beale Street Could Talk.
How dare you?
And what the song is
dare you?
is basically Nas talking about how much respect and love he has for women, mothers, women in abusive relationships, women who bear the brunt of social stigma or whatever. But it's all done in the most self-aggrandizing and really kind of upsetting way possible. Like it feels really like she do the best to raise our young, we nothing without our women, one love to the single mothers, and
All
but
women
then
are
it's like,
queens.
the framing is like coming back to the title.
He's a thought.
Coming back to the title, the framing of all of this is we've got to, till the war is won, we've got to stick together. And so what this idea is he's like, conceding to women that they have a really tough time, but like, we need to stop fighting. You need to stop. Basically, the implicit thing is stop arguing with me, stop like leaving me or whatever. We need to stick together because you have women, you guys have it tough, but us men also have it really tough, and we need to like not be up against each other. We need to like
Both
bound together
sides,
in
though.
our struggle.
Do you want to know? Do you want to know what it's like? It's like someone put together like a band of like female superheroes for a movie, and then but the poster child is like the Sam Jackson, the organizer of it all, and it's Nas, and he's on all of the merch, and he's the poster salesman for the whole thing. And it's like,
girls get it done.
Yeah.
have
And
you missed the whole point of the song you just wrote?
Yeah, and there's two particularly funny parts of the song.
Mm,
There's of
yeah.
course the unforgettable ad lib from Lil Durk.
Ooh,
Or
she independent.
she don't depend on nobody. There's that, which is just one of the funniest moments on any album in 2020. There's also in the first verse, my favorite part of the song actually. He says, "Single mothers, my heart's bleeding for you. These coward men that were beating on you. Let's
Not me, though.
silence them with a silencer." And as he says, "These coward men that were beating on you," he just adds in this ad lib where it's like, "Never me."
Never.
Because he really needs to underline the fact that he's not like the other guys.
It is the toxic masculinity equivalent of no homo.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say. It's like the that song from Popstar, but about women's rights. Not gay, but if I was, I would want equal rights. I'm not gay.
Yeah, it's basically that. I'm not a wife beater, but if I was, wait, what? Never mind.
Yeah, let's
not go there.
Okay.
Oh god, I'm shocked that I was the only one to have this on my list.
I didn't
In
listen
fairness,
to
you're
it.
probably one of the few people to remember its existence.
Yeah, this was a January baby, I think.
Yeah, it was, yeah. But it was one of those moments where Justin Bieber has a new album out, and he's like popular again now because of Despacito, and like everyone's posting the single on places, and it's called Yummy, and it has a like bubblegum sort of Wes Anderson aesthetic, the music video of like pastels and shit, and you sit down and you listen to it, and it's incredibly boring until the chorus happens and your ears start bleeding immediately. And
girl, you've got that yummy, yummy, yummy.
yeah, the music video is so colorful and the song is so boring, and then as soon as the lyrics hit you, you realize the man has lost his mind and has decided that it's like, do you remember the Katy Perry song that came out recently, Bon Appetit?
Oh yeah.
No.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. I remember that.
It's
this
like,
whole linking of sex and food. Yeah, it's
Stop.
But at least Katy
works.
Perry's made grammatical sense. Like,
yeah. I was going to say, it reminds me, funnily enough, listening to it, it makes me think of the classic song from Mr. Bungle, "Squeeze Me Macaroni."
Yeah, that one,
which is a
course.
song that understands the absurdity of the food and sex, parallels, consumption, whatever, and kind of just leans into that. Whereas Justin and Katie, by extension, are using these kind of similes, metaphors, wordplay, whatever, but they're doing it in an entirely kind of serious way, where like they're trying to actually seduce you with it.
It's like Justin Bieber's just like, girl, how about you come over here and give me that yummy?
It reminds me a little bit of the video for Queens of the Stone Age's "Sick, Sick, Sick," where it's like they're really leaning into that sort of implication, but it's also like, instead of being like super funny when Mr. Bungle did it, it's like just disgusting. So it's like that, but without the artistic intention. It's gross, and it might be the worst hook on any song on this list.
Yeah.
Just when he says you've got that yummy, suddenly I have like 5 things to unpack and none of them are good. One of which is the fact that yummy is like a word 5-year-olds use, and it's a song that cheesy pop songs from the 60s use, and you're trying to seduce me with it? Or are you saying I'm seducing you with it? The other thing is,
this is exactly what I must associate sexual intercourse with. Children.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's such a puerile, facile way of describing sex. It's like, do you remember the Bo Burnham song about that parodied like One Direction. I can't remember the name of it.
Is it
Repeat Stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that one.
It is repeat stuff, but not like sentient.
No, but like the whole point of Repeat Stuff is that you're selling this completely pacified idea of like attraction to essentially prepubescent teenagers, and this is like the logical final collision, the ne plus ultra, the nadir of that idea, where you are literally using children's words to sell sex to prepubescent teenagers. It's kind of disgusting. It's grammatically incorrect, and it's like it's so sonically ugly and still boring. And somehow I'm angry whilst being bored, and I don't know how that happens.
Yeah.
No,
It also
Basically.
just tells you where the music industry is at, because if anyone other than Justin Bieber released this song, it wouldn't chart. No, it wouldn't. You're a liar. Stop it. Get some help.
I touched down to my connection. Man in the gift shop, call me fat.
See, here's the thing about this this little jam here is if real ones remember, I in particular was really not a big fan of the latest 1975 album. Neither was Morgan, who I believe is the reason this is on this list and placed so highly to begin with.
Uh-huh.
And the thing about Roadkill is that, like, I do object to it on a bit of a, like, just, like, from the outset, in that it is a pastiche of Americana. And the problem with making a pastiche of Americana is that, Americana is, literally, its definition is authenticity. So you've already kind of failed in the outset. And then in the first couple lines, we have just, good old Maddie dropping a hard homophobic slur, not in a derogatory way, but in more like I have weird hair, so when I was in school, people called me a fag.
Yeah,
Thou,
I got called this in middle school, so I get to say it now.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, all right, buddy, can we? You're treading in some pretty shallow water here, and it doesn't. It really just doesn't help that the lyrics are just mostly insipid.
To me, the fag line is not even the fucking worst part of the song.
No.
Lyrically. There's the part in the song where he's like, "Oh, I took shit for being quiet during the election," and maybe that's
Yeah.
fair, but I'm a busy guy, and it's like he just does this stream of consciousness thing. He does it in a few places on this record as well. I
Yeah.
don't hate this album, but there is lots of things about it that I don't care for. That I think are the band's worst tendencies and are kind of ramped up on it. And one of them is just Maddie kind of just writing in this really kind of stream of consciousness way, and I just it's really just aggravating here, and just the combination of that writing at its most kind of like self-indulgent, and how poorly the instrumental kind of comes together, is just like the perfect storm for a shitty track, basically.
I get stoned and go where I'm getting paid, but it's not really how babies get made. So I took a minute when I think I won't die from stopping. Oh, I'm just a busy guy.
You gotta click it or ticket. If you
Yeah.
blink, you might miss it.
It's a touring song basically, and we bands do. I understand why lots of artists write about touring, but I just, as a topic, I find it like kind of dry generally, and I'm like, you really need to do something with this to make it like an interesting song rather than just being like, it's another touring song, and they just don't do that at all with this track.
It's quite emblematic of every problem I have with this album, is that it's just so scattershot, insubstantial, ill-conceived, and boringly written. So it's just like, well,
Yeah.
Like the 1975, how best to say this? Their lyrics have always been stupid, but typically they have really fun songs to back that up with, and a really charismatic delivery.
And And they kind of lean into it in the past. They have anyway, like on their first
Yeah.
first two records, they kind of leaned into that. They were the silly, shiny kind of consumerist pop band, and that was their aesthetic. And then they started getting like topical on their third album, and yeah,
They went from postmodern to just modern.
Yeah, and then, and maybe even then, I could forgive it a little bit if the instrumental wasn't this hideous sounding nightmare of a pastiche of like Americana and bluegrass kind of. I mean, it's one of those things, and this is going to be another continuing trend here, where it's one thing that makes me like everything that the band had done before it. Makes me like that just a little bit less.
yeah.
How many songs are there on that album? Like 10, 11?
I think so.
Yeah, something dumb.
So yeah, sure. I was a teenager. Why not? It's pretty terrible.
Yeah.
My individual pick was going to be the title track, just because I remember hearing it for the first time. It's really the only song I remember with any kind of detail, and nothing had confirmed quite so swiftly that they had destroyed any progress that Green Day had made with Revolution Radio, which is a mid to bad album with some really great moments on it that showed a lot of sort of reflection and sort of like not necessarily a back to roots album, but just something that would be something that people would want from Green Day. And instead they destroy any and all of that progress. So the single worst thing that they've ever made.
Yeah.
What really struck me listening back to I Was a Teenager for this list is how much it just felt like, in the writing especially, it reminded me of like make-believe era Weezer.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
And it just felt like this was a band that because like with Weezer, it's like they went down that path because like that was the kind of expression that Rivers Cuomo kind of genuinely, like, that was the kind of personality he kind of wanted to be. It was kind of the kind of band he wanted to front. But with Green Day, it feels this song in particular is just emblematic of how confusing this development is for the band. And there have been some people who've said perhaps like it's an intentional kind of pastiche or intentional self-parody or something to make some kind of point.
No, I mean, it's like these are the people that made American Idiot and 21st Century Breakdown. They are begging to be taken seriously at all times.
That's true.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. Like, I Was a Teenager was probably my least disliked, 'cause it's not good, least disliked song on the record, just because it was the only one that had, like, a melody or, like, an actual, like, honest to God, like, emotional core to it, or just anything that I would attach to a conventional song to give points to, but it's still not good, you know?
Yeah. No, I think I agree as well, because it does feel like, at least like relatively speaking on the record, it's one of the more formed, but in many ways that's kind of like just makes it more aggravating to me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's the infuriating thing about it. It's just like you got so close to the finish line and you still fucking tripped. You idiots.
What really about this song that just kind of digs its heels into my head personally is just that it just is so, like, the hook on it is the kind of I was a teenager. It's infectious, but it's infectious in the worst way possible, where it's like shut up.
COVID-19.
Yeah.
I was gonna
Like,
say it's not infectious like dance fever. It's infectious like the corona.
I want to I want to rip out my frontal lobe whenever I was a teenage. It pops into my head. I want to just.
a bad time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No
All right.
more consciousness for me.
Let's
That's enough
move on.
consciousness for one day.
Yeah.
Death consciousness, you might say.
Oh wow.
Rip.
Friendship ended with consciousness. Now death is my best friend.
And so this is a really interesting piece. So the song is Reality Bath
Of shit.
by the metal band Lamb of God, and we talked,
Of course.
and we'll talk a little bit more in our album breakdown. It won't surprise any of you to hear that there's a lot of overlap between artists on these worst songs and worst albums list, but we'll talk a bit more about the album when in that video. But Reality Bath is just beautifully emblematic of the worst kind of, self-righteous commentary that some bands have felt emboldened to take it upon themselves to do in the wake of Trump, in the wake of, the second half of the 2010s, basically. As like, the thing is, like, when you're trying to, what all of these bands fail to understand when they try to make songs about, the current day, about America, about whatever, and this is true in the immediate post 9/11 Bush era as well, is that they make the fundamental misunderstanding that that people genuinely have an interest in hearing stuff that there's already kind of like saturated in their experience and through the news and stuff, also in their music. It's a really kind of arrogant misunderstanding that because something so all-encompassing and devastating is happening, we need to therefore saturate our art with it too. And I can kind of understand the perspective of people who feel that's, that's what art is for. Art is for mirroring reality. Art is for, holding up something, holding up a mirror to reality and letting you kind of see it through a different lens or whatever. Fuck knows. But to those people, I point and I say, listen to a song like Reality Bath, where there's no nuance, there's no substance, there's nothing that's being said that feels as though anything is being reflected in a way that's not just purely preachy, self-evident, and lame. Another massacre, another day gone by. Is this the new abnormal? Like, how do you sit there and write this stuff and think, yeah, this is relevant, this is interesting? It's just the most pretentious and pathetic and easy attempt at gaining or retaining relevance from a band that once were great and are gradually descending into inner turmoil and insignificance in the wider musical scene. And so this is what you get as a result of that.
The things about what you're talking about is that there are records that we all enjoyed that do touch on similar subject matter consistently this year, like the new Run the Jewels or the new Jeff Rosenstock.
Proto Martyr.
Yeah, but like
there's more nuance to them though. Like they could be about that. They could also be about other things more broadly.
Well, it's also that this song is so heavy-handed, whereas those other people tell it with like wit and clarity and insight. This is like the new abnormal.
And the obvious comparison here that comes to mind, it's not a record I've heard, but I've read enough about it and heard enough about it from you all to know this is an apt comparison, but it also brings to mind something like Frank Turner's Be More Kind.
Yeah, it does,
Yeah. I mean, it's that album's worse than this.
And the slew of shitty songs that we got in like 2016, 2017, like La Tigra's I'm With Her and stuff, that were like really overtly kind of like taking a really corny and chunky political stance. And it was like, this is the antithesis of what we come to music for.
Yeah, you heard about this Trump guy?
He's bad.
And it's like on the complete opposite spectrum of that. I could as August reminded me earlier today, I said in the original review for the self-titled Lamb of God that I'm just here for the groove, bruh.
Yeah.
But
Also,
and I stand by that. But the groove is shit.
Also,
It's
this is a textbook example of like metal lyricism at its most kind of like eye rolling. Our nerves are cobwebbed with the dust of atrocity. The deadly daily spectacle erodes the humanity. Jaded and desensitized, a spreading apathy, fast forgotten thoughts and prayers for numbers on a screen. That phone's bad right there, and it's like phone's bad, but it's through the whole lens of like pretentious metal writing, and so it's like doubly awful.
if you so chose, you could ignore that altogether, because the guy sounds like Cookie Monster anyway.
Yeah.
So it's like you can just kind of tune all that out and get into the banging music, but the music doesn't bang. In the words of Lars Ulrich, it's stock. It's just so stock.
It sounds so stock.
It sounds stock.
It's another great example of what we talked about with the last track, which is just like tendencies that were already prevalent in a songwriter's songwriting to do with like potentially obnoxious approaches to political subject matter, just revealing its full awfulness in the wake of being very heavy-handed and trying too hard. And the song isn't even structured. It's got a feature on it by a very good artist that sounds like ass, and you have the song, and it's also like Till the War Is Won in so many ways, where it's just Joe Talbot getting on the stage being like, "Oi, listen to me, respect women's bodies, you heard that from me,
Oh, but the thing that
you
really
heard it from me, I said that. No, it was me. Make sure you all know I was the one who said you need to respect women. You got that down. It was Joe Talbot. Joe Talbot said that.
Yeah, but the thing that makes it doubly worse is that it's not that he's just saying this is what I think and I'm saying this. He actually takes the perspective of a woman in the song, and he tries to counteract that by having a female guest singer on to kind of fill that role as well. But he's still ultimately kind of being in that perspective, and whatever, it's fine. That's not an inherently bad thing. But what the critical failure of Nitouche Palmois is that he reduces the perspective that he's trying to embolden to seem like a cartoonish version of itself, because he just sings over and over, "This is my dance space. This is my dance space," and he sounds like someone doing like really insulting parody of a feminist or whatever. And I know he's not trying to do that, but it reads like a fucking 4chan psyop.
Yeah,
No,
it makes you feel like this is
a
how they
psyop.
see us, Yeah.
Joe Talbot is a psyop.
And then obviously there's just the consent. Yeah.
The worst moment in the past 10 years of music.
I think too it's very arguable. Like, I didn't say much about Reality Bath just because, like, Tyler said that song was very emblematic of the album, and I very much agree with him. And I also agree in the sense that it's very emblematic of my reaction towards the album, is that I think it's fine. And here, though, there's a difference between Reality Bath's broad, often stupid, facile complaints and criticisms, is that, like, the world we live in is also the stupidest possible version of that world. So in a way, the broadness is just kind of like, oh, okay. But on this, when Joe Talbot is like making a mockery of the thing that he's trying to present, like, oh, I am supposed to be parodying this thing, and by abandoning nuance, you have completely like destroyed every possible principle that you're claiming to stand for. It's like the nuance here is the point. It's like people like you are the reason this shit is an important issue right now, and you're making a mockery of it. Fuck you, man.
So, I'm sorry I named the album Montevallo. And I'm sorry people know your name now. Strangers hit you up on social.
what's so bad about both of these. First, I'll go over drinking too much, because this is truly just an insipid, hateful song in every sense of the word.
Misogynist's anthem.
Misogynistic. It is basically, like Tyler mentioned earlier, how the Nas song it just felt very self-aggrandizing. This song, it takes that and it's like, oh yeah, well, guess what? This one doesn't go up to 11. It goes up to 700.
Yeah, like in the Nas song, he's kind of talking in abstract, and it's very kind of eye-rolling and stupid. But what makes Drinking Too Much, in my opinion, the worst song of 2020 is the fact that it is an expression of a real life situation is being aired to the world without the permission of one of its participants, and in a way which is just skin crawling.
Yeah, like the way that the thing that makes it skin crawling for me is it's a song that basically says, I'm really sorry that I ruined your life by publicly making the last album about you. Now here I am doing it again. Take my apology seriously.
And it's even a bit more than that, because there's also the performance of this song where he's doing like this weird speak rap over the verses. It sounds like something where, like, this is your sincere apology. You're just like going like, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
But
what
it's
about
not,
it?
Like, he barely apologizes, and he spends most of the song just kind of like spitting on his own apology. Like, he says, I wish you'd let me pay off your student loans. I wish you'd let me do all these things that would tie you to me further so you can't get away.
It's abusive. It's genuinely abusive. It's fucking horrifying.
He says these things, these very personal, I'm not going to repeat them, but he says these very personal things about her. Like, he says things that she's done that are very kind of, her and her worst moments, and he kind of just like says them. And so now the whole world knows about these incredibly private moments that this person has experienced. And he ends the song by saying that, even though you've changed your number and moved, I'm going to come and find you. And it is the most fucking horrific, psychopathic, awful, goddamn shit.
Girl, misogyny sucks. Can we fuck now?
Look, it's more like, damn girl, misogyny sucks. Now fuck me. It's
even worse than both of those things.
It's
not just about sex. It's about it's about we belong together, and you're gonna eventually learn that. But until you do, I'm gonna keep reminding you. It's the most abusive shit in the world. I fucking hate it.
It would have been a less offensive song if it was just 4 minutes of news footage of 9/11.
Yeah.
Have we even talked about breaking up was easy in the 90s? Jesus.
I'm getting to that now.
Yeah, let him speak.
Is one of the most skin-crawlingly terrible, insipid sounding like pop country pastiches he does on this whole album. It's just this terrible song idea where once again we've got this like psychopath persona on this song where he's like he's got to make this all about him and how like, oh, social media has made breaking up so much harder. And he's got to make this into a big tirade about like fucking stupid bullshit. Like
the thing is, like, he's got a point. Like, breaking up is more difficult in the age of social media, where people are where someone that might have been a big part of your life is now no longer a big part of your life. But because of the way we're all integrated, we have to kind of see each other moving on with their lives.
But then he's got to take it into like this stalkerish twist in part of the songs. Yeah. In part of this song where he mentions like essentially e-stalking someone in the first verse, among other things. It's just like, what are we doing here? Why? And,
Yeah.
and I think it was great we had both of these songs on here, because they're the perfect embodiment of how this album is just a combination of misogynistic, psychopathic insincerity and just horrible country fucking genre fuses that
Yeah.
don't work at all. And we'll elaborate more on that. But
We will. Okay, so now for our number one.
our
again,
worst song of the
the
year.
worst song of the year. We
Which
had two
all
songs.
five.
We had
Oh, wait,
two
no.
songs that were suggested from this artist, but one in particular was dominating our lists.
People start to show up.
The official certified Jams and Tea podcast worst song of 2020 is in fact Darkness. And
Darkness is.
the
Fuck your
reason
guts.
there's no one reason. It's just that Darkness manages to suck in basically every single way we've mentioned about the other songs on this list, but like all at once. First of all,
Yeah.
sampling Simon and Garfunkel.
Mm.
Don't do that. I know you can get like it's we are suffering the consequences of Stan being like a masterpiece song, because now any Tom, Dick, and Marshall can come out and just be like, I'm gonna do an unconventional pop song sample on my, or rock song on my song here, and people will think it's great. And it sounds terrible, but it is not even the closest thing to the worst part of the song. The fact that the sample is integrated horribly into the beat is also bad. It's also terrible just because of Marshall's delivery, which is that's the flow. It's really great. I love it. But it's also the music video, which is just all of the bad topical shit. It's like it's talking about like the shooting, and it's
So
it's
for those
it's
of you
so bad.
for those of you who don't know the full understand what Eminem was trying to do with this song. Basically, it starts off as him sort of talking about his nervousness as a performer at this juncture in his career, kind of feelings of lacking confidence, wondering if he's kind of like out of touch, and all this kind of like seemingly introspective stuff. It starts out being like, and kind of like, I'm a bit depressed and stuff, whatever. The darkness is my friend. And you gradually realize that what he's actually doing is he's singing from the perspective of the 2017 Las Vegas shooter, and he's kind of trying to make this analog between his anxiety about performing and murdering hundreds of innocent people. And what's especially interesting about this track is after. And I have to give kudos to Eminem for this, because he's had about 25 year career, and it's really quite impressive that he's managed to find a brand new way of being offensive that he's never really had before, because this is some real kind of like, and the thing is, if he was being edgy, if he was just doing edgy, like, I'm going to evoke a horrible thing that happened and I'm going to sing about it from the perspective of the person that did it. If he was just doing that, it would be typical edgy Eminem, like, yeah, he's doing that shit. But what really sinks the track is the fact that he's not just doing it to be edgy Eminem. He's trying to make an actual social point in the process of doing it. He's trying to make this like an capital I important song. And
he's trying to remake remake White America from the Eminem show, essentially. And also, he's not trying to be edgy. This is him at his most sincere, which is why it's awful. And it's exactly why it becomes awful.
It's doubly insulting that Eminem is trying to do this analog about his career and this shooting, and then also trying to turn it into this like anti-gun violence, pro-gun control message track. And that is really hammered home in the music video, which ends with this kind of like wall of news screens on TV, and they kind of make the American flag or something. I can't remember. It's been a while since I've seen it. And basically the text comes up. The text comes up on screen, you know, when will this end? I think is what it says. And it's like the most ridiculously ham-fisted thing ever. And just it really hammers home how, you know, offensive this whole endeavor is. Like Eminem could make, and I'm willing to believe that revival era Eminem would have made a song that's just purely about, you know, anti-gun violence by detailing a shooting in mass detail. But it's Eminem at this juncture of his career trying to tie that story to his own relevance and his own anxiety that really makes it just leaves an awful taste in my mouth every time I think about the song. It is just incredibly offensive and thoughtless and trite. And you know, I was thinking to myself, how is Drinking Too Much not the worst song of the year, like overall for us? And because to me that song is just like an actual hate crime. But this I kind of understand thinking about it now, because this is doubly infuriating because of how successful it has been and where Eminem is at in his career. He should not be allowed to get away with this.
No.
Yeah, I think the answer to your question of how is Drinking Too Much not our number one on this list is 5 simple words. Those being Eminem found a new low.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, the writing on the track makes Lamb of God look like Chaucer and Keats.
It does.
It's awful. It's fucking so bad.
Yeah.
I would though really like to see Eminem try to write in Middle English. That would be really interesting.
I would like to see Eminem not do that.
And if you want a nice, neat example of how tasteless this song is, there's lines where he starts detailing very explicitly shooting the perspective of the Las Vegas shooter shooting people, watching them die. He says, I got him hopping over walls and climbing fences, some of them John Travolta, staying alive by inches. And it's like, no matter what he's trying to do, no matter how serious he's trying to be, he cannot help himself but make it stupid and silly. Yeah. And it's just this complete juxtaposition of this real life tragedy, and it's in such explicit detail with that corny Eminem bar that we've come to know so well.
Because we gotta have one.
And
like it was stomach churning before you said the corny Eminem bar. So when that comes in right after it, it's like,
and there's a bunch of them like that.
No, it's just a song.
Looks like No Face in that GIF from Spirited Away, where he's just getting hit by waves. It's like,
also there's a moment and just after that where he tries to rationalize from the killer's perspective why he's doing what he's doing, and he kind of gives the killer this kind of like higher motive, which is to show the killer's doing this because he wants to show that society's fucked. That's literally what he says. Like, he's like, no signs of mental illness. I'm just trying to show you the reason why we're so fucked. Like, basically, he attributes this motive to the killer that he's killing these hundreds of people because he wants, you know, people to think about how messed up society is.
He's so woke. He shot people.
He's trying to kill people because he wants to show how fucked up it is that he can kill people because society lets him do it or whatever. And it's like disgusting.
Some Jared Leto Joker shit.
Some Todd Phillips Joker shit, but like 20 times more facile and stupid.
Yeah, it has the same energy as Joker. That's a really good observation.
Yeah.
I've no doubt that he wrote this track as soon as he finished watching that movie.
I bet he loves that movie.
Says a lot about our society.
Okay.
Really makes you think, huh? God, can we end this?
Yeah, let's move on.
This track sucks my balls 3000.
Okay, so that is the 10 worst tracks of the year according to us, but we want to know from you in the comments, what are your least favorite songs of the year? Let us know, what do you think of the songs that we included? Do you think that we got any of them wrong in some way? Please let us know. And we want to hear from you as well. And also go and check out our worst albums of the year video as well. That's going to be a fun time. Rock Over London, Rock on Chicago, Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing.